Hey guys, this is Mike Madano, and you're listening to Sarcastic Remarks on 365 Sportscast Radio Network.
Hey Christian, how's it going this evening?
It's going fantastically.
Yeah, so we're in a little bit of a strange situation here. Along with Christian Chambers, my brother, I am Ryan, and you are listening to Sarcastic Remarks on 365 Sportscast Radio Network. We are a Dallas Stars-focused show, but we also talk about anything we want to whenever we want to, and we say it sarcastically many times. So tonight we're in a bit of an interesting situation because while we're doing the radio show, we're actually, oh, that was a good shot. We're watching the Stars game. So currently the Stars are up 3-1 in the second period with 4:44 to go, and they're on a power play. And honestly, Chris, their power play has looked kind of iffy today.
Trash. It's looked awful.
Yeah.
The first power play sucked. They got no chances.
Well,
they had one shot. It was Robertson's off the draw, but yeah.
Right, and it wasn't, and it was a decent shot, but I mean, it's Robertson.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that one of the things I noticed about what Saad put up on Twitter this evening was after that first power play, he said one of the things that he talked to Bonus about in the pregame show, in the pregame interview, excuse me, was that the first power play unit needs to shoot more. And that first power play unit has Pavelski, Ben, Robertson, and our two biggins in Miro Heiskanen and John Klingberg. And none of those guys got a shot except for Jason Robertson in the second power play, I think.
Yeah. Kind of frustrating to me to not have Gurianov on that line. I don't know.
No,
kind of strange to me.
You would think, but Gurianov has not played particularly well the past 20 games. He scored one goal.
Yeah, but that's back to the thing, like, if Jamie Benn doesn't play well, that doesn't mean we're not going to play Jamie Benn, right?
Right.
Like, Gurianov was our top goal scorer last season.
But Jamie Benn...
he should be playing those minutes.
Jamie Benn is Jamie Benn. Dennis Gurianov
is Dennis Gurianov. He's our number one goal scorer.
He is a second-year player. He scored 20 goals as a rookie. That's great, okay? Fantastic, okay? But he is not Jamie Benn. There's a difference between those two players. Jamie Benn has won an
Gurianov is a better hockey player than Jamie Benn right now. Like,
I would disagree with that.
He's a better goal scorer.
He might be a better goal scorer, but he's not a better player. He is not a better player at all.
To not have him on the first power play unit and to not play him in overtime, I think is ridiculous, but whatever.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick, because this is I put this up on Twitter, and it's kind of bugging me even watching this game, and I hope that Bonus said something to Hudobin while in the first intermission, sorry. But the past two games, Dobby looked good last game, right? He got the shutout. But one of the things that bugged me more than anything is his stick play behind his own net. It seems like
that's been true. That's been true since he started, though, on the Stars. Like, he has not been a good stick handler.
But it's been particularly noticeable the past two games.
Yeah, that's true.
This game that we're watching, and then yesterday.
Yeah,
and
every time he touches the puck, I'm terrified.
Right, I know. I know, and he's not. And you would think, oh, it's Marty Turco behind the net because he's number 35. But he does not handle the puck like Turco or Mike Smith did. So honestly, Marty Turco changed the game when it comes to handling the puck for goaltenders. He completely changed the game. I think he even has like a way to hold like the stick while you're behind the net. I think he invented his own way of stick handling, like the grip or whatever. I'll have to do some research on that to be 100% sure, but I think that's true. Let's go back to Dennis Gurianov, because Dennis Gurianov has not been playing very well lately. He had that one goal that broke the, I think it was like 19 goalless like drought. I mean, it was not good.
Yeah, it was a while.
And ever since that one goal, he hasn't scored in the past 5, 6, or 7, something like that.
It's like 3 to 5, but yeah.
So one of the other things I wanted to talk about, and it's frustrating me again, is that the Stars just can't seem to not let the opposition score in like the first 30 seconds of their own penalty kill.
Well, it's just because their penalty kill in general has sucked. Like, the whole thing. Like, especially, even in those 11 seconds that it took the Preds to score this game, I was like, yeah, they're scoring on this power play. Because, like, you could tell. We were scurrying all over the place like rats, and they were just passing all around us and in between us. It was easy. It looked easy. So, the special teams is definitely still an issue. Glad we're playing Nashville tonight, who can't take advantage of it because they're trash, but...
Well, they still did.
Yeah, they still did.
They still did. They've got a power play goal. It doesn't matter who we play. We could play the Tampa Bay Lightning, or we could play the trashy Trashville whiny cats, or the Red Wings. So it's like it doesn't matter who we play. We always seem to have somebody that scores a goal on us. So
on the power play. Yeah. I don't know what's up with it. Hopefully it's just because we've had guys out, like especially the last game. We had Cogliano and Como out, who are both penalty killers, so that's rough. But yeah,
then they didn't score a power play goal.
Yeah,
and our two best defensive forwards were out. Yeah. So it was just kind of like
it's definitely weird. I don't know what's up with it. But like that's gotta be fixed. It's the way Bonus talked about those. The power play goals that are happening in the beginning of the season, like, really makes me, like, wonder what he messed with and why from last season. Because last season it was decent, and now it's, like, just, it's not good.
And it's not like it's different coaches either, right?
No, it's not.
Other than Montgomery and him getting canned, and then us bringing up Derek Laxdal from the Texas Stars to be one of the assistant coaches, nothing's really changed, right?
Yeah, but it seems like the strategy behind it has changed. I don't know. It seems different than it was before. It seems like last season the triangle in front of the circle was a lot tighter, and we would have the one guy cycling at the top, pestering, and he would go out farther and be skating harder, and the triangle would still stay tight. It feels like it's spreading out too much, and we're letting cross crease go by too much, and we're not taking away pass lanes. We're worried about taking away shot lanes more than pass lanes, which is why most of the power play goals, they're from the point, but they're like trickling in, deflecting, all kinds of weird stuff. So.
Oh, poop.
Yep. Nashville scores there on a bad defensive play.
Yeah.
Don't know what's up with that.
Yeah. I was listening to you. I wasn't paying attention. Let's look at this. Oh, yeah. It was a whack from a stick. Oh, gosh.
It might be high-sticking. High-sticking the puck on that, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, that was it bounced around. But
anyway, like, you have any idea what's up with the penalty kill? Like, anything come to your mind?
My thing is we've already talked about this, is that that lack of urgency, that lack of drive is not there on the penalty kill. Now, the one thing I will say that I've seen in this game that I didn't see in the last game is I've seen a net drive from the Dallas Stars. So they were getting a ton of shots. They've been getting a ton of shots lately. Yeah. Oh, it looks like that goal's under review, Chris.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been kicked.
I think it'll count, though. It didn't look like
I think it'll count. It didn't look like it. He kind of moved his skate forward, but I think it's too touchy. I think it's going to count.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, definitely this game especially. There's a rivalry now between Nashville and Dallas, even though Nashville still sucks.
Oh, maybe there was a kick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But maybe he got it with a stick at the end there too. But it's weird. But you can definitely feel this game is much more hard hitting than any games against even Tampa Bay. Like, this game is hard hitting. It's fast. It's fun to watch. This game has been awesome so far.
Right, especially that first period. That first period was so much fun to watch.
The first period was great. The Stars played better the first period than the second period. Nashville's getting I think they're a little bit better this period. I think we're still playing slightly better, but they've caught up a little bit at least.
Yeah, our defense has kind of been up to the task on this. So, and they've played well. So it looks like they're fixing to make an announcement after reviewing on the pay. And it's a good goal. Dang it.
Yep.
All right. Oh, well. But, so, Stars are up 3-2, 2 minutes left in the second period. And again, let's talk about this aspect of it. The Stars tend to, especially when they have the lead, and especially a 2-goal lead, they tend to let in goals late in the second period to allow the opposition a chance to win the game.
Yeah,
and they've
kind of late in periods in general. Even late in the first period, they'll allow goals in. So
right.
I don't know what's up with that.
I couldn't tell you. Well, it's just frustrating to watch this team, and then just little things like that.
Yeah, going into the third period 3-1 is a lot easier than going into the period 3-2.
Right.
So
so here's another thing I'm just glancing at. The shots on goal, we've been out shooting just about every team we've played the past, week and a half or two. And right now the Stars are actually fairly close in shots with Nashville. They're only leading by 6 rather than leading by like
10,
10 or 20 or sometimes 25.
And that kind of proves further what we've been saying. Like, the Stars have been playing good. They can't put the puck in the net, and they just are finding ways to lose games. Like, I've been feeling crazy recently because I feel like we're playing not that bad and we keep losing. So I've been looking at other people, other like commentators of the game, and like they're saying the same thing. The Stars are just finding ways to lose. They're not playing bad. They're just doing one or two things that cost them big time. So I feel comfortable knowing we're not crazy, and we were correct when we said it felt like they were turning things around. But they've turned around their play, but they haven't turned around their record yet. So it's really, really strange.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's literally one of the articles that Saad put up on The Athletic. He said, Stars are finding ways to lose games. And now it's in quotes, but he goes on to talk about that in his article, which we might read and go through later on. But here's one thing I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of not Stars related, as we're getting down into the final minute of the second period in the Stars and Predators game. This is, I think it was a 1-year anniversary of when COVID completely shut everything down. I think it was the 11th when the NBA shut everything down, and the 12th when the NHL shut everything down. So we didn't really talk about that last week, but tell me, and this is not really a hockey thing, but this is more like a life. Oh, nice shot. Oh, sorry, hold on. Of course, Sekera can't score a goal.
Hey, he had 2 recently.
How has your world changed in a year, especially as a college student? What's been the biggest change for you more than anything?
A crazy amount. I mean, professors don't work as hard now that there's online most professors. So there's a distinction that has to be made. Good professors are working harder than they ever had before, and bad professors are working the least amount that they have ever. So, and unfortunately, I'm not getting very lucky. So it's just, if you're a bad professor, you'll just put up a couple of videos on the website, tell people to read them, and put on and do tests every once in a while. But good professors will at least do their lectures and make them as personal as possible. But yeah, school has not been fun as a STEM major during Rona. I know a bunch of business majors and liberal arts majors that have been very happy with it, though, with their open note tests and everything. Can't relate, but
So I think the biggest thing for me, honestly,
365 Sportscast Network, the streaming future of sports talk radio.
Different.
Listen to us round the clock.
In how my job has gone, So a lot of y'all right now are very different than us across the country, because it's different when you go from from here to California. So the differences between Texas and California. And in California, there's a lot of places that are still locked down 100%. Same thing in Canada. Everything's locked down 100%. And then here in Texas, everything's open now. And even Governor Abbott dropped the mask mandate. So it's kind of changed everything. But my job has probably been the thing that has been affected the most out of all of this. I went from teaching 8 band classes to like 3, and I was guarding a bathroom, no joke, to make sure that there was only one person going in at a time.
Very important.
It was not fun, and I was doing that every day for almost an entire semester. So for those of you that are listening out here in Texas, we never went to remote learning where I live, except for like the last month and a half when there was a big COVID outbreak in our cafeteria staff. So other than that, we've been in-person learning almost this entire time. So and most kids have come to school rather than doing online learning. So anyway,
Can't relate.
That's another topic for another day. So anyways, so let's get back to the Stars hockey here. Okay. What's your biggest takeaway just from the first 2 periods, watching the first 2 periods? We'll call this our own intermission report.
Of this game?
Yes.
Yeah. It's been really fast and really hard hitting for a back-to-back for both teams, which is great for us. It's very exciting hockey, but that's gotta suck for those guys.
And one of the biggest things I've noticed is the way that each team is playing. They're playing very similar styles, and one of the biggest things that's been going on with both of these teams lately is injuries have ravaged both teams, like hardcore ravaged both teams.
Yeah, I saw your tweet. It was like 6 of the top 8 scorers between the teams were out.
Yeah, I mean, Sagan's out, Radulov is out, Hintz is not in this game. They don't have Roman Josi available for this game.
We have Sagan, Radulov, and Hintz out. That's a first line.
I know, right? That's absolutely insane.
Oh, gosh. And talking about that, our bottom 2 lines have been the best lines this game. Like, really, the Caro, I can't even think of their names. They're so garbage.
Gardner.
Caro, Gardner, and Dickinson? Is that who's on it? I think so.
Maybe Dickinson is on that line.
I don't know. But the 4th line has looked great. They got a goal. Gardner got his first goal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gardner got his first goal. Pretty lucky. He whiffed on it and it somehow found a way in. So that's great.
Hey, that's okay. At least he touched the puck with his stick, unlike Robertson. Yeah, Robertson has the butt goal.
Hey, he has the butt goal. And this game, he has the outstanding assists jumping on the FCC line. FCC line did a good job of having puck control in the offensive zone. And then they said, oh, look, a goal scorer just came onto the ice. And they gave it to him, and he shot, and it went in.
He's like, Robertson, you throw this black disc at the net and see what happens. And he definitely did. So good for Gardner. He gets his first NHL goal. It was so funny. They actually mentioned it on the broadcast. Josh Bogorod and Razor, they were talking about the thigh pictures.
Yeah,
I wonder who it's gonna be. I mean, you got to think they got to do it, right? Because typically they only do it on milestones, right?
Oh no! Oh gosh!
So the ladies of the DFW and Metroplex will be very happy with whatever picture comes up this evening. So,
all right.
Anyways,
do we want to do a quick PGR of last night's game?
Yeah, why not? We got about 10 minutes before the 3rd period starts, so why not? Go for it.
All right, cool. Well, Saturday, Dallas beat the Detroit Red Wings 3-0. That's Dobby got back in there, got a shutout, only on 21 shots, but shutout's a shutout. We like that. And again, goals from not the top guys. Ty Dellandrea scored that game. He scored again this game, so a two-goal scoring streak so far. Caro scored a goal as well, as did Sekera. So the wrong people are scoring goals, and as long as we're winning, we're okay with that. But those are going to go away eventually, and our top guys need to figure out how to score. I mean, they're still not doing it this game, but again, the guys who aren't supposed to score are still scoring. So that's good for now, but those guys have got to get going. And like we've said, not having a number 1 line, we have a number 1 line that is hurt right now. That's obviously going to hurt you, but like Guryanov has to score, Ben has to score, Pavelski has to score. Looks like Pavelski almost scored, and Dellandrea stole this one on this game.
Right.
But those guys, they've got to get going if we want to really make a push.
Well, let's talk about that Tanner Caro goal. How about that little snazzy little move from a guy that we're like, huh?
That was the slowest biscuit dusting I've ever seen in my life. It was like,
Oh, it was.
shoot.
I know, it was awesome. And honestly, I think if who was in net at that point? Was that? Oh wait, no, it was just Grice because Bernier was last game. So if Grice hadn't angled his pads correctly, I don't think it would have gone in.
Yeah, exact same for Gardner's goal of this game.
Right, exactly.
I mean, Rene put the pads the exact right way to deflect it in.
But he 5-holed it, so that's okay. And it went in. That's all that matters. He 5-holed it. We'll go with it.
Skill goals by both of those guys.
Okay.
But right now, it's in the net, so that's all we need. We need points, and we need goals to get those points. So we're happy about it.
So, kind of talking a mix of this game and this last game. So when we played the Red Wings the second time, we were not only missing Radulov, but on top of that, we were also missing our two best defensive players, kind of like what we mentioned earlier. We missed Como because he had a lower body injury, and Cogliano was out for an illness, I think is what it was. And
two best defensive forwards,
right,
not players.
And on a note with Cogliano, he has only missed 8 games in 14 NHL seasons. How insane is that?
That's crazy.
These
guys are literally skating around on a frozen pond, going 30 miles an hour, smashing into each other while wearing knives on their feet and holding bats. Like, are you kidding me? How? That doesn't make sense.
Well, it was...
And he's out this game not because of the hockey game he's playing, not because of the crazy, ridiculous sport he's playing, but because he got sick. Are you kidding me?
I know. So, Cogliano is the definition of a Iron Man in the NHL.
Yeah.
I mean, you have those players that, get hurt, it seems like every single year, a.k.a. Ben Bishop. Okay. And then you got guys like Cogliano that you can rely on, who is an absolutely defensive player who, he's going to play 82 games out of the season. If you're unlucky, he may only play 80.
Yeah,
but
only 80. Rip.
And here's the other thing about Cogliano is that Cogliano, it's not like he plays a style like Mike Modano, right? So Mike Modano is not a grinder or he didn't hit very much.
He's not a forechecking
He was
forward.
A dangler. Yeah, right. So Cogliano, he's fast. He's probably just as fast as Hintz. He bangs everybody he seems to be able to get to.
That's what she said.
And then he was... Chris, I hate you.
And he knows he can't shoot, which is a great thing.
Right.
As long as you know it, you can make yourself useful in other ways.
Right. So, hands out. I mean, hands out praise to Cogliano. So, anyway, we were missing those guys, and somehow we were able to kill both the power plays that were against us.
I think that's more of a testament to how bad the Red Wings are than how good we
are. No.
No.
We're just going to go with it, and we're just going to say that we had a really good night on the penalty kill, okay? Let us have at least one game where we don't give a power play goal up.
We did. I mean, sure.
So, anyways, it was a good game overall for the Stars. It was frustrating again just watching it, just because, again, it was another game that we felt like we were dominating in the first period. We didn't get anything out of it, and it wasn't until Tanner Kero did Tanner Kero things, even though he doesn't do those things.
No,
for the Stars to finally
put a biscuit in the oven.
Right, and he finally put the biscuit in the oven. And the Stars kind of woke up and were like, oh, okay. And we kind of talked about this earlier, but and they didn't have this in the last game, even though they won the game 3-0. They didn't have any net drive at all.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah,
and,
which it's a good thing we're playing the Red Wings that game. I mean, we had a bunch of guys out, and we still found a way to win the game relatively easily. So I think that's mostly due to the Red Wings suck. But, I mean, we weren't terrible, I guess you could say.
well, in our defense, the Red Wings have been playing better as of late, and good enough to beat Tampa Bay, which we haven't done, and good enough to beat
true.
Carolina, which we haven't done.
That is
true. So, they beat two teams that we haven't beaten yet. Yeah, we can't beat yet. Now, part of that, a lot of it was, Bernier. Bernier was just excellent in the pipes for the two of those guys, for those two games, against those two teams. But, at the same time, they were able to play defensive enough to win those games. So I'm just glad that we were able to pull this one out because that was a very important game for the Stars to win. When you take a look at the shots on goal, just a couple of stats to throw out at you, Chris. The shots on goal for the Stars in that game was 33-21 in favor of the Stars. Yeah. So, again, it's another game where the Stars vastly outshoot their opposition. At least this time, which is nice, is that they were able to pull out the victory. And then in the face-off dot, we ended up winning it 60-40. So, again, it's another stat that historically we've been the better team on the past couple years.
This season we have not, though, yeah.
It's been more 50-50 this year, yeah, where it's kind of been like they've either trounced us or we've trounced them. Yeah. So
mainly because we don't have Sagan.
And that really doesn't help. And then we actually won the special teams battle. So on the power play, we went 1 for 3, and Detroit went 0 for 2. So we were 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, which was nice.
What's funny that I saw during this game is somehow, like what we've talked about recently about how our power play has been bad. Our power play is still ranked 12th in the league just because of how many power play goals we scored in the first 4 games. Like, that's so funny.
Right, and I think they said something insane at the beginning of this game when they're playing Nashville. I think it was still at 60%. Was the power play percentage, just because of those first 2 games. So, and you're talking about hard hitting games like this one we're watching, but the Detroit game was just as hard hitting, 26 for Dallas and 29 for Detroit. So, and that was in Detroit. So, because typically, like you say, they like to ratchet up the stats more for the home team when you're against the opposing team. And you don't normally see that many hits for the away team, but that's a lot of hits. That's over 50 hits.
Well, my other point in saying that is like scorekeepers for different arenas count hits as different things. Like their definition of hit is slightly different. So like in some arenas, you might have lower hit stats overall than in other arenas just because that's the way the scorekeeper thinks a hit is defined. But yeah, whatever. That's a stupid thing that doesn't matter that I have a theory about.
Right. But anyways, that's that. And but it was a hard-hitting game. Block shot 17-12 in favor of the Red Wings, and then giveaways 7-2 in favor of the Red Wings. So we only gave the puck away 2 times. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Whatever.
Giveaways is always a weird stat, I feel like.
Okay. So here's something. I actually got a Twitter question from somebody who was asking me about this, and this kind of goes into one of the goal scorers from the Detroit game, and also of this game that we're watching, Ty Dellandrea. So, and he asked the question, why does Bonus not like Ty Dellandrea? Because he seems to put in these other players over Ty Dellandrea, or when he does put Ty Dellandrea in over these other players, he only gets a couple games and then he's immediately back out of the lineup. Yeah,
this is a legit thing. This isn't like it seems like Bonus doesn't like Dellandrea. He doesn't. I don't remember who asked Bones the question about why Dellandrea isn't in, but he legitimately says that Delandrea's just not ready for NHL play, which I think that's ridiculous, obviously. I've talked about how Dellandrea should be a full-time starter this season, especially when we have guys out. But he feels like Dellandrea isn't a good enough all-around player compared to Caro and Gardner, which I obviously think that's ridiculous. I don't know what he's seeing. I don't know why I disagree with Bones' decision so much, but it just makes me so angry. Like he's such a fast player. He's a fast skater, and in a league where fast skating is so important now too. Like, don't you want that? And he's 2 goals in the 2 games he's been in. Like, I don't know what more you could ask from him in demanding ice time. Like, he's producing, he's playing decently without the puck. I feel like he's making himself known during the game. Like, I feel like he should be in every night the same way Robertson's is, and he'll be getting similar points, I believe, to Robertson, given the chance.
That's interesting that you say that, because honestly, I disagree with you on parts of it. The offensive side of the game, I feel he has down, but so does every young player that comes into the NHL with his kind of, he's a first-round pick, so with his kind of stature. But what they always have to work on is that defensive side of the game. And what kind of coach is Bonus? If you had to put him as an offensive or a defensive coach, what kind of coach is he?
Well, yeah, defensive.
He is a defensive coach first and foremost. Why do you think Foxa, Cogliano, and Como get all those minutes? 1, because they're veterans. That's part of it. But 2 is because they play the defensive style of the game.
Well, I get it with those guys, because those guys were putting against the other team's top line, and we're shutting them down consistently pretty much every night. I love that. That line is, I think, something that other teams don't have in a line like that. They don't have a solid checking line like that. They won't put their third line, with quotes around it, against our first line. They'll try and put their first line against our first line. But for those 2 guys, we're not putting those guys out there in situations like that. We're putting them out there in very fourth line situations. We're giving them minimal minutes. But like Dellandrea has shown that he can make impact in those games. So I don't know why he's not playing in them more. It frustrates me. I bet it frustrates Dellandrea, and it goes further on to like why the Stars prospects never pan out. And like, if you think about it, they kind of do. They just pan out in other organizations that give them a chance. Like, Campbell has been great in Toronto. They've been singing his praises as of recently.
Right, and
he was never given a shot here. Well, never a chance.
Well, they've even talked about making him the starting goaltender for Toronto. Like, a lot of the media and a lot of fans are saying that, just because, mostly because of the play of Frederik Andersen in the playoffs, because Freddie has not been good in the playoffs for them. But in some ways, I would disagree with you, because he's just very patient with those players.
He's too patient. It's too patient. All these guys don't pan out.
Right? We're talking about Nil.
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk about. We're not talking about Bonus here, because Bonus has been the head coach for.
But he's feeding into it though. These guys aren't playing, and I feel like they should be.
Right.
The young guys.
But when you look at Nil, I think he learned a lesson when he drafted Nichushkin. Right? Yeah. So when he drafted Nichushkin, the stigma around Nichushkin being drafted was, if he didn't play in the NHL right off the bat, he was just going to stay in the KHL, and he wasn't going to come over to the North America. So I think Nil was kind of pushed into a corner where he didn't want to have Nichushkin there, because he didn't think Nichushkin was ready. Nichushkin fell to us at 10th, and because of that reason, right? And he should have been top 5, but because that stigma, and he was a Russian player, and and that whole situation there, that's why that was there, and that's why he wasn't taken until we took him. But he had a really good first year, a rookie year, and then after that, he was just never the same. And then a lot of people point to the fact that the only reason why he had a great first year as a rookie was the fact that he got to play with, Sagan and Ben when they were freaking amazing, Sagan and Ben. Especially Ben, when he was at the top of his game. So he was that complement to those 2 guys. You could take Andrei Sekera and throw him on the right wing side with those 2 guys, and he would have decent numbers like that as well. You could put anybody with those two guys.
That's fair.
So I think that's why he's scared to bring these guys up.
Yeah,
and
I think scared is the key word, though. He's not healthily patient. He's scared because I feel like we've had several guys who have just wasted away in the AHL just because they've never been given the chance.
Okay, so other than Jack Campbell, who else would it be? Who's
Faksa. Faksa was a goal scorer. He was the guy on his team who would go out and score goals, win games for his team. And now he's filled into his role great. He's a great checking center and great at winning faceoffs, but he was a goal scorer. That's what he was drafted for, to be a power forward. And he's turned into a third line checking guy.
But that's again, that was something that his game did not translate to the NHL, the way that he was playing. So what he did, and what's awesome about what he did, is he found a different way to make himself.
But
what's
just
the
giving
word
that
I'm
as the
thinking of?
example, like of drafted players that we get that aren't living up to their potential.
But he's still on the Dallas Stars roster.
Not as what we drafted him for. He filled in spite of us, in my opinion.
Well, sometimes these sort of things happen.
But we don't just want a bunch of Foxes on our team. Like Fox is great, but you don't need more than one or two of them. we need goal scorers on our team. We need more Guryanovs and Hints.
Oh, speaking of Radek Faksa, it looks like that he might have gotten injured in the second period. I don't have the volume on my phone watching the game, so I have no idea if he's actually out or not. I really hope not, because he's a big part of our team. But
he's out.
Is he out?
He's out of the game. Yeah.
Oh crap! Hopefully
it's right on the shin, so hopefully it's just a tough bruise, but you never know.
Okay, well, anyways, let's talk about let's keep going with this, because that's a good conversation for us to have. But when you look at all the other players that the Stars have drafted, a lot of them have come up into the Dallas Stars roster. I mean, Jamie Benn was drafted in the 5th round, and he's a top 6 forward. You look at Louis Eriksson. I'm going to say Louis Eriksson because we got Tyler Seguin mostly because of Louis Eriksson. And now we have Seguin, who is our top line forward for our center spot. You got Dickinson, who was drafted. He's on the Stars. Robertson was drafted
just
by
a
the
worse
Stars.
Faksa.
Well, what about Hintz and Guryanov? Guryanov is a first round draft pick. He's not playing well right now, because he's probably having a sophomore slump, but he's in the top 6 forwards. Hintz is a 2nd-round pick, and he's
that's what I'm saying with Guryanov. We have Guryanov, who we're saying is a top guy, and we're not letting him play in overtime. And he was our highest goal scorer last season. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Right,
these guys are great players, and we're not letting them play just because one thing goes wrong. And this is what I wanted to get into with Ottinger. He has one bad game, and he gets pulled. He's out for the weekend. Dobby gets both starts. Like, there's no faith in these guys. Bones uses them until they just have one bad game, and then they're gone. They're not playing. They're not playing the big minutes. Or in Ottinger's case, he's not starting anymore. He had 4 straight starts. 3 of them are great. His 4th one, yeah, he kind of sucked. But like, if you're gonna say that he's the better goalie right now, give some faith to him at least. It was none. That's the shortest cord ever. You're gonna yank him for that at that little? I don't know. It's just the lack of faith in the young guys, not giving them enough chance, in my opinion.
Well, and that's just the way that Bonus is. We're back to Bonus. We're off. We're not talking about Nil anymore. But Bonus just doesn't trust the rookies as much as he does the veterans. Ooh, that was a good shot. That was close. By the way, we are currently in the 3rd period, and while we were arguing about how each other is wrong, it's it's 3-2 Dallas with literally exactly 15 minutes left in the 3rd period. Shots on goal are 22-17, and as we've already mentioned a little while ago, Faksa is out for the night. Hopefully that's not a bad thing. And it looks like the Stars are trying to hold on to this 1-goal lead, and I just hope they don't go into turtle formation.
Yeah, they have it in the first 5, so as long as they keep it up a little bit, keep the pressure on, which they've done decently so far.
Right. Okay.
But what do you think about the Ottinger situation? Especially, I kind of wanted to ask you about that. He gets 4 straight starts. He has one rough outing, and he's yanked immediately. What do you think about that?
I'm not so sure that it was the fact that he was yanked immediately. Like, I don't think it's, not having faith in Ottinger more than the fact that Anton Hudobin had a really good game against Detroit, and he was not taxed. I mean, he took 21 shots. That's it. So I think that he just went with who is hot.
Yeah, it's just
now I
as a player, if you have a game like that, the first thing you want to do is get right back in another game and prove it's not the same.
If he's a good goaltender, right, or any player for that matter in the NHL.
If you're in the NHL, you have that mentality,
right? So I do expect him to get the next start. And, maybe the other side of it, and I feel like I'm defending Bonus more than anything. Wow. So maybe it wasn't just the fact that Dobby played really well against the Red Wings, but maybe Ottinger's just tired. I mean, he did play 4 games in, 7 days? Right?
I don't know, dude.
4 games in 7
pretty
days.
young. I feel like he could play every game this season and he'd be fine. But...
Well, I mean, there are players that can do that. I mean,
but I get your point.
I
get your point overall.
Right.
That I don't know if that's the exact reason, but yeah.
Well, because I would point.
That's the way it seems.
I would point you to his conversation that his meaning Bonus's conversation that he had with the media that sparked all these these little stories everywhere that say. That he sees a lot of similarities between Andrei Vasilevsky and Jake Ottinger, which a lot of media members, especially around the Dallas world, were like, "Oh, hey, that's kind of cool."
Yeah, I see similarities too. They're both big.
They're both really big.
2 big boys.
Although we've got the American dude, and they've got the Russian.
We've got the
Russian
American
dude.
big boy.
Yeah. Although. Now that we think about that, what kind of similarities do you see between Jake Ottinger and Andrei Vasilevsky, if any?
Well, both of their games rely mostly on positioning and using their big size. Like, juxtaposed to Dobby, it's very obvious the difference. Like, Dobby's got to move around and get his eyes on the puck if he wants a chance at saving it. That's why he's so good at looking through screens and stuff. Because if he can't, it's going in the net. He's not big enough to stop it just by good positioning.
He's only 5'11", so
right. But that also gives him the chance to have terrible games because if he's just off one night and he can't find the puck, like it's gonna go in. But Ottinger and Vasilevsky, you minimize your chance for mistakes because positioning you can make small mistakes in positioning and still make the save. If you make a small mistake with your blocker, it's going in. You make a small mistake with your glove hand, it's going in. But positioning, if you chest it up, it's less likely to leak through you. So I think that's why both of them have had such great, I don't know. That seems like the new style, I guess, Just being big and being in the right spot seems like the new style in the NHL.
So here's another thing about Ottinger compared to all of these other goaltenders in the league nowadays. There are a lot of rookie goaltenders that are actually doing pretty well right now. You got to look at obviously Ottinger here in Dallas. You've got Kokkonen up in Minnesota, and Minnesota is absolutely tearing it up right now. They look like geniuses. They look like geniuses. Bill Guerin, a.k.a. former Dallas Star, the GM of the Minnesota Wild, looks like a genius for them. And, and then Kevin Lankinen in Chicago. He had a really good start. Now he's kind of fallen back a little bit because I think Chicago's only won 1 game in their last 7. So he's looked really good too. But between those 3 guys, this has been kind of the year of the rookie goaltender.
Yep.
And
definitely true. And I think that's partially just because of the shortened season. Like shortened season, you're switching your goalies out more just to get them rest, so that gives your rookie guys a chance to just show up, and maybe they're better than the other guy.
Well, I mean, and I think about like Cam Talbot in Minnesota. Like he was signed to be the starter for that team, and instead this guy named Kokkonen comes out of nowhere, and now he's the starter. I think he's won his last 9 or 10 starts in a row. So
why are you ever resting him?
Right, and so this is just the year of the rookie goaltender, anyways. But there was a really interesting video that the hockey guy did on Carter Hart and the expectations that are thrust upon Carter Hart. And because Carter Hart's only 22. He's the exact same age as Jake Ottinger.
1 year older.
Yet Jake Ottinger is the backup goaltender. I would maybe a 1A, 1B situation right now.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like everybody talked about Jake Ottinger after he started 4 games in a row. He's the new starter for the Dallas Stars. And then now in the past 2 games, Dobby has taken the net back, and it's like, okay, so who's the starter?
We don't know.
I don't think there is a starter.
Bones doesn't know. Goalies don't know. We don't know who the starter is. We got 2 goalies.
Yeah.
That's what we know.
Well, we'll have 3 goalies here in a little while. So
hopefully a little while.
Okay. Hey, so let's talk about that again. So again, because Jake Ottinger is a really interesting story for this franchise right now. When Bishop does come back in April, and we're assuming it's going to be early, probably closer to mid-April, what happens with the Dallas Stars, net at that point?
All right. Well, I have 2 ideas. My ideal situation first, and y'all are going to hate me for this, is that Anton Hudobin gets traded, and that we get some depth forward for him. And we'd probably have to retain some of his cap if we were to send him to a good team, because most of them are in cap struggles still. But ideally, we trade Dobby, and we try and get some more offensive help back, and we keep playing Ottinger because I think he's ready for the NHL, and I think he's shown that, and I think he deserves to be the backup.
That's a lot to put. Are you talking about this trade deadline?
This trade deadline right now.
That's a lot to put on a rookie goaltender.
He's basically been the starter for the past 2 weeks.
Well,
so that's a lot more.
And an old goaltender who is coming in, who, yes, he is a Vezina candidate. He is a Vezina goalie when he is on. But he has not played in over a year.
But Ottinger has shown that he can be the guy if you give it to him. Like, he's had 1 bad game so far this season.
But it's still a lot to thrust upon a young goaltender like that.
It is, but he's managed it so far.
Okay, but my argument is, look at Philadelphia right now. Look at what's going on in Philadelphia's net right now. It looks like they have stability in their net right now, but they don't. They really don't. So, oh my goodness, did that really?
What I think likely will happen is absolutely nothing. I think Ottinger's going to get sent back down to the AHL. We're not going to talk about him until 2023 rolls around, and we're ready to bring him up to be our starter. So likely, I think nothing will happen, and we'll just have Dobby and Bishop back there again.
Well, and Ottinger has kind of been pushed to just. I mean, the Stars didn't have a choice when it comes to goaltenders. I mean, Wayne DeBoer is going to be your backup. And let Ottinger be the starter and get more games in at the AHL level. That would be the ideal situation, but then Dobby would be playing every single night. And we've seen what's happened when Dobby gets overplayed. So, I don't know.
And right now, this season, what would happen? Because can you take people off of your taxi squad and just send them to the AHL?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
It's just a weird year because they have the taxi squad just because of all the COVID protocols and stuff like that. So
and I hope they'll put Ottinger back to the AHL when Bishop comes back too.
They're not going to put him on the taxi squad. Yeah,
I wish they would, just so that he could play more games. Honestly.
Yeah,
But you're probably right.
I mean, I would be very shocked to see.
I would be happy. If he's not playing in the NHL, I at least want him to be seeing
playing
some shots.
right, exactly. I don't want him on the taxi squad. That would just be a waste of his talent and a waste of time for him, because he's got to get games in, because he really is the future goaltender for the Stars.
If he's your future after 2023, then you better get him going.
So, okay, so let's actually get back to this game now, and we're actually 10 minutes into the third period now. What are you seeing?
Oh,
I
sorry.
missed it. I must be a little bit behind you.
I'm seeing some Nashville attack right now.
Yeah. How do you think the Stars are handling the pressure in this third period?
The first 5 minutes was decent. This next 5 minutes, Nashville has been all over us. We need to counterpunch now instead of going turtle mode, which is what we normally do. So hopefully, I feel like we need our big guys to do something now. So they've been quiet the past game and a half. So we need Ben, Pavelski, Guryanov, those guys, get something going. I think we should also maybe be looking for some special teams before this game is over for either team. I don't know who exactly, but I just feel like special teams isn't done yet.
Well, I hope you're right, because we could definitely use some confidence on both.
Yeah, well, I'm saying
on both
Nashville
sides
might get it too. So, we got like 5 minutes left. Dang, we're not gonna be able to finish the radio show during the game. That's gonna be strange.
That's all right. Yeah. We got about 8 minutes to go in the radio show here, guys. So we've talked about Ottinger, we've talked about Dellandrea, and Robertson finally got another point today.
Yeah.
And
Robertson has looked great this game.
And he's been kind of quiet since his Ooh, that's a nice play by Ben. Since his exuberant outburst of offensive capabilities.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, hopefully he starts picking that back up, especially if our top guys aren't figuring it out. So
right.
It seems like a couple of guys have figured things out. Sekert has been shooting the puck more, which I've definitely appreciated. I think, I didn't know the slap shot existed. He's got to throw that thing a little bit more, especially with his first goal of the season. That slap shot was sweet. He's got to use that.
Well, and what I've noticed in all three of these periods is that I've actually noticed them bringing those defensemen into the rush. So it's not like the defensemen, they stop at the blue line when they get into the zone. They actually drive the net. The defensemen are driving the net.
Mm-hmm.
And what seems to be happening is that when the forwards are not doing that, then they're backing up the defensemen and they're up at the point, which has kind of worked out well for the Stars lately. And that's more of what we need to see from this team. So
yeah, especially when you have your top three forwards out, and your other top guys aren't scoring. So you need those great defensive or offensive defensemen to get into the rush as much as possible and to shoot the puck as much as they can, because the forwards aren't going to do it.
Yep, the forwards are not doing it right now, especially because, like you said, we have a first line that's out. we don't have our top three
we have
players.
a whole first
right
line
now.
out.
So, anyway, back to Robertson. Has he made more of a defensive effort recently, and that's why he's been getting in more of the games rather than Dellandrea?
I feel like I talked about this when he first started playing well too. I feel like he's been playing great as a two-way forward from the get-go. So I think his back check especially has been really on point. There's Sekera again. Goodness. Good job, Sekera. I like that.
Look at that. Look at
he's getting in the offense.
Oh my goodness.
Below the dots.
He must be
just
feeling
dangled.
It. I know.
Oh!
I know. It's a good shot.
Sekera's gonna make a fan out of me yet, guys. Goodness. That was sweet. Where was that at? What's the time right now?
Oh, I missed it.
I don't know. It was like 8 minutes, but go watch that play for Sekera. It was sweet. He looked like Heiskanen out there. Goodness.
Yeah, not as much dangling. And then speaking of dangles, did you see the goal, Ty Dellandrea's goal? That little move from Klingberg?
Oh yeah.
In between his legs?
That doesn't even surprise me anymore.
I know, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
It's just Klingberg does that sometimes.
Okay. All right. And by the way, we got to talk about I'm officially annoyed with the Klingberg trade rumors. I'm officially annoyed with them.
Yeah, I've ignored them.
I can't ignore them. I've tried, but people keep mentioning it on Twitter. People keep mentioning it on Facebook. They keep mentioning it in all these media stories. And one of the most annoying things is that I've seen some stuff about John Klingberg to Toronto, and I'm like,
how? With what cap space?
Right, and like everybody wants to go to Toronto, apparently, according to Toronto media. But I mean, but it seems like everybody outside of the Stars circle doesn't believe in this team's chance to make the playoffs.
I think half the fans inside the Stars circle don't believe in it.
Right, and
if you look at the standings right now, it's like we said, it's going to be a dumpster fire to the finish. Like Chicago's lost like 6 of their last games, right?
6 of their last 7. So
yeah, they're
it's either
technically
us
out of fourth right now.
Columbus, and Columbus is up there right now just because they have games. They've played more games than us. Now we have games in hand.
Yeah, we're down 6 points with 5 games in hand. This is one of the games in hand that's happening right now. This is going to move us up 1 game played over Columbus and Chicago, if I'm right.
Over Chicago?
Not over, but like it will be from 5 games down to 4 games down.
Okay, I was about to say, yeah. Okay, now I get you.
Yeah, but if we can win this game, we're sitting pretty. 4 points down with 4 games in hand. That sounds good, and this is all we need to do. We need to hang in there. We knew Chicago wasn't gonna stay that hot. If it would have been one of the greatest seasons from a bad team.
Right.
So they started great. They've kind of gotten figured out as of recently, and now it's just dumpster fire to 4th place. And I think we're the best dumpster, and we're gonna win it.
We're the prettiest dumpster that doesn't have all the gum over it.
Yeah, you can quote me on that. The Stars are the best dumpster in the Central Division.
Yeah, because there's an obvious top tier when it comes to this division. We've got Florida, you got Tampa, and you've got the other team, Carolina.
Yeah, the other team.
And we have and speaking of which, as we start to close this up a little bit, the next 6 out of our 8 games are against those top 3 teams.
Yeah, we need to find a way to get a couple of points at least from this. That's what it's going to be. Whoever can win their games against Nashville and Detroit, like secure those points and steal the splits on those top 3 teams. It's just 1 game out of those series. Whoever can get the most of those will win the dumpster race.
Or, win both. I'd be okay with that too.
Winning both would be impressive. That'll make you jump up in the dumpster race. That might make you jump into the Lambo race in the top 3 if you do that enough. But I don't expect that. I expect us to split some of the series, and I'll be happy with that. Or 1 point, take them to overtime. Like that's fine against those teams. It's fine. Against the teams you're racing against, it's not. But against the top 3 teams, just an overtime loss, that's good enough.
Well, we'll have to see how all of this goes. So, so that's going to be an important stretch for the Stars coming up, is just to see if they can do that. Can they do the split?
Expect some losses, but we need points in those losses.
Even if it's really bad losses, we have to win in the other game. We have to. We don't really have a choice. Okay, looks like we're going to be missing out on this last little bit, unfortunately. I was hoping we'd get the full game in during this hour, but we're going to miss like the last 3 minutes in this. So we got 1 minute left. Chris, you got anything else to say before we close this all out?
The game's looking scary. I think we're going to be relying on Dobby to close out this game for us. I think our offense is done. We've completely gone into turtle mode. Please, Dobby, save us.
All right. All hail Dobby. All hail starting goaltender Dobby? Question mark?
No.
All right, guys. Along with Chris, I am Ryan, and this has been Starcastic Remarks. Thank you for listening to us on 365 Sportscast Radio Network. Coming up is Buried Treasures, if you want to stick around and listen to that. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys on the flip side, and hopefully we'll be talking to you guys about a Stars win in the next couple of days. Everybody have a good evening.